got all these presentations, so it almost doesn't matter if we have a quorum until we have to get voting. So, all right. Turn on your microphones. Okay. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission for Thursday, September 12th at 4 p.m. Mr. Verada, would you call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Murray,
Present.
Commissioner Yanni,
Present.
Commissioner Pritchard,
Present.
Commissioner Gladstone,
Present.
Chair Sheffer,
Present?
Vice Chair Merrigan, anticipated but not yet here,
Right.
but we have a quorum.
Okay, and Commissioner Brenner is excused, she called to say. Okay. I would like to talk about the agenda just for a minute. If you look at, I'd like to amend the agenda. Item C, action items, the funding for the mural by Anne Faith Nichols. We'd like to pull it from the agenda because it's not ready to be talked about. So with that amendment, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agenda with the deletion of item C1A.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, the time has been, this time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Public Arts Commission on items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Public Arts Commission, and agenda items if the member of the public cannot be present later in the meeting at the time each item is heard by the Commission. Additionally, members of the public may address the Commission on each item listed on the posted agenda. Although the Public Arts Commission values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda, and 5 minutes is assigned for each speaker. Now, I know we have a couple of people who'd like to speak. Do you want to go first, because it's short? Thanks. Okay. So,
Coming up one short.
that's okay. So come and sit here and turn on your microphone and speak into it.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. The first thing is, please introduce yourself and spell your name, because the person who writes the minutes does it from this tape, so we have to make it clear. Okay?
Sure. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Eric Cheel. Last name is spelled C-H-I-E-L. And I'm a resident of Palm Springs, and I'm here today representing 1PS, the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs, which is made up of the leadership of 47 organized neighborhoods from throughout the city. I am the communications officer for 1PS, and I'm also the creative director and author of the 1PS Guide to Palm Springs Neighborhoods. This guide is the flagship publication of 1PS because at its core are the stories of our 47 neighborhoods, their histories, their architecture, their culture, their sites and destinations, and their quirks and curiosities. It's now in its recently released 3rd edition, and the guide still maintains its focus on neighborhoods, of course, but it's slowly evolving into becoming a general interest city magazine that's dedicated exclusively to the city of Palm Springs. For example, it now features a voting districts map. It now includes a spread on the parks and green spaces of Palm Springs, and there's an expanded index to the amenities that can be found throughout the city. Since its first issue, I have always integrated public art into the larger story of the neighborhoods that host this art. But now I'm planning for the next edition, which is still many months off, to feature a spread that's dedicated exclusively to the public art of Palm Springs. And I'm hoping at some point to be able to work with this commission to help me select the 10 or so pieces that you feel are the most appropriate to be included in that section of the book. For now, though, I invite you to review this edition, and if you agree that this publication can help further the objectives of the Public Arts Commission, then please keep it visible, refer people to it, and if you'd like to make it available at no cost to other individuals or other organizations that you may affiliate with, then please let me know and I can get you those copies. So hope you enjoy the magazine, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Does
Thank you.
anyone
It
have
looks
a
great.
comment or?
Just one quick question. How is it distributed now and where?
The press run is 10,000 copies, and about 1/3 of them are distributed directly from the leadership of each neighborhood organization to the members of their neighborhoods. The other 2/3 are distributed increasingly through several sites in the city. We just got permission from the city manager to place it in the public library, in City Hall, at the animal shelter, at the waiting areas at other city-owned facilities. And other than that, Palm Springs Life, our publisher, also distributes some. The intended audience is local as opposed to visitors, so you may find archived copies at the visitor center, but the newest edition will be found at local venues.
Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Yes, thank you for being here and
Sure.
for your service. This really ties into our study session last week and partnering with One Palm Springs.
Sorry I missed
and-
it.
Yeah.
and listening to the voices in the community
Yeah.
as it relates to public art. So thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
it's a fun and informative read. Hope you enjoy it.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to
Thank
working
you
with
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have another speaker? Okay, hi. So introduce yourself, spell your name.
And please
And-
pull it has to be very close,
Okay.
so if you wouldn't mind.
You can just pull it in.
Hi, I'm Jeff Howe. It's Jeffhowe.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Crystal Howe.
Is your green light on?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
My last name is Howe, Howe. First name Crystal.
Okay, and what is your public comment?
So we're here today to first thank you for your support. We are in the process of putting up two pieces of his artwork on 2225 and 2245 East Tackwitz Canyon Road. So it's right here next to where the mall used to be. You'll be able to see it on your way here. With Ann's support, we've been able to work with the city. We're just about in the process of we're looking for a structural engineer to make sure everything is clear so it doesn't take off on anybody in the street. And we'd like to invite everybody to the dedication that hopefully will be on September 28th this month. It may change if we cannot get the structural engineer in time. We're having a little snafu with finding one that's not busy. So,
Okay. I'm sorry we don't have any pictures of it, but maybe we'll get them out to the commission. They're two sculptures, very colorful, but not something that the Arts Commission has to approve because we're not paying for it, or it's not a mural and it's on private property. But I did inquire for them if it needed like a land use permit of any kind, and found out that it doesn't need that, but that it might need a structural report, especially about how it's, what sort of foundation it has. So we're trying to help them find a structural engineer, if anyone knows one. They need to just file that report before the city will give them I guess it's sort of a building permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
building and safety.
Okay, so stay tuned, and please let us know if it's we can, if, we'll give you the address for Jay, and then he can send the invitation to everybody on the commission.
And
Okay?
and just if you do have images that you could send to Jay so you could share with all of the commission, that would be awesome.
I'd be happy to.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
Or in 30 seconds or less, if you can share what the images are.
They're very colorful. They're very Palm Springs. They are expanded metal for the most part. If you know the pieces that are in the medium on Gene Autry, the mountains that they have in the center down that direction, that's an expanded metal setup. Those ones are just rusted. I painted these ones. So I have one large one that consists of 5 boxes, 1 circle, and a pyramid, all collectively put together in very bright pastels type colors, or it's all welded iron.
You'll get the second
The other
one.
one is 2 triangular
Sorry, I
expanded
thought they
metal
were
pieces
green
on top of an eyeball, stacked atop 3 very large pieces of leaf spring out of a fire truck. So they're fairly stout,
If you
fairly
s-
heavy, and then it has a stainless steel chain that comes
You
down
swipe,
that's
you
made
can get
from
the second one.
drawer handles.
Great.
They're brilliant.
So are they at an what kind of building is that?
The location we want to place them in front of, there's 2 Wexler buildings on Tuckwheats next to, just west of the mall. I think Sunset's the last one. You go Farrell, Sunset, and then there's it's like a dentist office and
Oh, yeah.
professional buildings right there on the left hand, which would be the south side of the street right there. And I just happen to know that they're Wexler buildings, which was a
Right.
fun idea on that stuff as well, so.
But so the owner of the buildings
Is a
asked
friend of
you-
mine.
Oh,
Asked me if I'd
fantastic.
put some art on
Great.
loan to him, and didn't know the whole program and the steps to get through all this stuff, because I haven't ever dealt with, I've dealt with installing buildings and houses and things like that for years, but never had them ask about things like that for the city program, so I didn't know we had to have engineering on that, so.
I think we didn't either. It just depends, I think, because they're so tall. They
Yeah,
wanna
it's
make sure
you know,
that-
you go from the silly idea, go, well, they've been in front of my house for 4 months now, through 4 major earthquakes and way more wind in the Gene Autry neighborhood than you could ever get downtown, so I think they're sizably okay.
And then if you're worried about children climbing on them, plant cactuses, right?
Yep. Well, I'm having signs made, we'll have some plastic sign made, keep off the art. They're also in a location where they're about 25 to 30 feet either direction off the walkway into the buildings, and they're about 15 feet deep from the sidewalk on Tuckwheats there, which is a big sidewalk down that road anyway.
Are
So
they going to
they're-
be permanent or on loan for some?
They're on loan for a period of time, as far as they go on that. If the building owners, if it changes hands, I can talk to them about whether they'd like to purchase them or not. If not, be there till my buddy doesn't own the buildings anymore, and we'll take them back, or if somebody has a big checkbook and says they'd like them at their house, by all means, so.
All right, thank you. Hopefully we'll
you.
see you on the 28th.
Hopefully it'll all work out,
Thank you very much, everyone.
and thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, we're trying. Okay, we have one other presentation by Mike Constanza. Just something that some of the commissioners have mentioned, being interested in virtual reality, and he wanted to show us what we could do with our art and virtual reality, so.
So we're
Yes.
moving into presentation. We skipped approval of minutes. Or
we just-
why does that say recommendation?
No, we're still in public, oh, you're right, we should do it, okay. Hang on for Mike, no, we'll just say, may I have a motion to, we don't have any minutes
We
to
don't have any
approve.
minutes to approve, right? So-
Okay, so we've accounted for it, okay. Now you can go.
I will be
No,
quick.
So now we're on presentations.
I'm going to do a quick presentation. yes.
Fantastic.
I am a filmmaker. Oh, of course, yes. My name is Mike Costanza. I hope everyone enjoyed their summer. I'm a filmmaker. Had a short film in competition at the Cannes Film Festival.
You have to speak really close to
Into
the
that?
microphone,
Okay,
yes.
is that
So
better?
you can hear it, right.
Okay, cool. Also did a PSA on gay bashing, Beat the Bash for GLAAD. So I do a range of projects. Right now, my focus has been in virtual reality, mixed reality, 3D technology with Samsung. And what I wanted to pitch to the commission was different experiences for a worldwide audience to view of either installations or stories about these specific artists and what is happening, the art scene in Palm Springs. I shot a test with the Samsung camera of the icon benches and actually the graffiti park. And it's 3D. So it's just a little test shots of actually what could be done if you're ever interested in that. I just figured the best way was really to just do a shoot and just a small shoot of some tests to show. But I wanted to go beyond like the VR tour and create a story because there's so many experiences that just get lost, and there would be so much to tell about Palm Springs and about specific artists, and again, the scene here. In terms of distribution, it could be on SamsungVR.com, it could be on the Public Commission, the website, via Vimeo. You can view the experiences with or without a headset. I'm sure you're familiar. You can either scroll with your finger or your mouse, depending on what device you're on. So I don't know if everyone would have time today, but we could also schedule another time when I could show. So, because you'd have to
do it
watch
one
it,
at
yeah,
a
you'd have to
time.
watch it on
Okay.
this. I mean, I could upload it to Vimeo too if you just wanted to watch, on a laptop or something. But again, to get the full experience. And then there's those cardboard viewers also that you can do branded content with. So either like the City of Palm Springs or the Art Commission can go directly on those. And we've made some of those up for some of the projects.
That's great.
That I've worked on.
If you could send us something that we can see
Sure.
on the website, and then I think, if there's a couple of commissioners who are interested, we could just have a group think
So
about.
Sure.
So it's sort of like creating short films about each piece? and the
Either that
artist or things
or
like-
the installation. Just like there's some videos on Instagram that again, that are videos are great. So these would supplement them, the VR would supplement them and just kind of elevate the experience because they would have the 360. Just like in terms of the iconic benches, I actually have the POV as if you're actually sitting on the bench to kind of experience that whole area around there. Same with the graffiti park in there too. So yes, more to sort of go with the videos or just a standalone experience also.
Why don't you send us the links?
Sure.
And we'll circulate them and see if there's a couple of people, it's hard to do it in a big meeting. So
Absolutely, of course.
a couple of people
Yes,
who are interested in
absolutely.
this and could try it out.
Yeah,
Also
yeah,
one-
I'd be very interested to sit down with you because we've discussed in previous meetings how to make the art experience a little bit more personal for people who aren't here.
Right,
So
yes.
sort of digging into an installation and sort of feel like you're being there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to see it.
I'd like to work with you where I can. Just a couple of questions.
Sure, of course.
At some point in time, we're considering, I think, developing an app. Is that something that can be, is that a possibility? The second question is, would we do a contract with you, or am I getting ahead of
I
ourselves?
think you're getting ahead. It
Okay.
depends on what it is, yeah.
Yes. And then lastly, ownership. Who would
Oh,
own-
you would own the content, yes.
All
That
right.
would be, so basically I would be probably an independent contractor that would come in and do the production work and the post-production work with feedback, of course, from everybody, with your vision. And, but then you would own the rights to it, yeah.
And lastly, just covering all the bases. The
Yes.
Disability Act, those who are sight impaired, for
Yes.
example, that's something to think about, if that would cause a problem.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
There you go. Thank
Thank
you.
you for your
Thank you
time.
for
I just
coming.
have one
Thanks.
quick, is your
Yes.
name Constanza or Costanza?
Costanza.
So there,
yes.
no, it's not C-O-N.
No,
It's
there's not a
misspelled
N.
on our agenda,
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So it's C-O-S-T-A-N-Z-A.
T-A-N-Z-A,
okay.
yes. Yeah,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
not too far. Riverside Drive. Thanks, everybody, for your time.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, the next presentation is a mural application, which we can't vote on today, but we can discuss it. And so, you want to do the presentation?
I am ill-prepared to do so.
Oh, all right. Well,
But
luckily we have it
I'm
in.
certainly here to answer questions.
Okay, perhaps you could describe the site a little better, because we
Sure.
were all what sort of,
We're a little
Name.
confused because our agenda says Indian Canyon and the permit says Palm Canyon.
but the first page
So-
says Indian Canyon.
There we go.
But the-
Does it
Okay,
go
so
between the two
I'll try to
streets?
clear things up. Maybe that's the first step.
Okay.
So I'm Steve Payline. I'm an architect locally representing the owner on this property who's basically bought a rundown old hotel, converting it into a new residence. It's not going to be a hotel, although it's called a hotel, because of some of the issues around this. So
Could you spell
she's-
your name for the?
Oh, sorry. It's Poehlein. I'm as well on the Architectural Advisory Council, so
Oh, great.
I'm usually on that side of the
Oh,
table.
yeah.
Good.
So this is basically they're reskinning the building. It's a pretty straightforward project on Indian Canyon, sort of right across from the hospital. There are two properties next door that have been pretty run down for years. So the idea is basically to reskin the front of the building with some kind of vertical. There's the current state, very plain and white. So they're going to skin the front of the white part with vertical wood slats that'll be rainbow colored down the line, kind of like and I think there's a 3D shot of it as well. There you go. There's a render. And then she's commissioned an artist out of New York, Damon Johnson, to do the mural, which would replace the black retaining wall behind that is the retaining wall in front of the pool. So that's the. So we've just passed the minor architectural application is completed, planning is approved. So I guess we're here to get the mural approved.
So this is all facing Indian Canyon? Is
Yes.
that- So it's visible from Indian Canyon?
Yes.
Could you just explain a little more about, it's called a hotel, but it's not?
Well, so it was going to be a hotel, but the property is challenged for parking. As well, the units have kitchenettes. So those two issues made it almost impossible for them to make it a hotel, because the hotel has to have one space per room, and there is no space at all. There's literally 4 parking spaces on the lot. So faced with the kind of dilemma of what to do, they've decided to make it longer-term rentals. So that's the
And there'll be
the idea.
4? Is that, because that's the maximum you can do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have the packet with the pictures here, too. What we need to do is send out, the planning will send out notices of the time, basically the public hearing when we will talk about it. And because of the timing of our meetings and the city council, if we waited until October 12th to vote on this, it would be like October 25th or something before the city council would have it. So I would like to know if there's enough people to have just a short special meeting, maybe on the site, there's one other mural, on, say, October 1st, which would allow us to get it on the next city council agenda. Murals are, all these steps are pretty clear. Pieces of art, not so many steps. So does anyone, well, first of all, does anyone have any questions or comments on the mural itself? And then we need to decide if we want to have a special meeting. And we can decide that at the end after there's another mural that's presented.
Can you jump to the slide with the artist?
I'd say the design looks very like digestible and
There
certainly
you
will
go.
cheer up an
One back.
area that is
certainly plain
pretty
now, isn't it?
sad right now. So,
Yeah, so the
I
the
don't
top corner is an
understand it.
example of one of his pieces of art in Brooklyn, and she's looking to do a similar kind of multicolored motif of a flower theme on that wall that we've tried to mock up below.
I think it looks nice.
Yeah.
Bougainvillea.
Are the slats being considered part of the mural, or, I mean, that's kind of
No.
like, that's
No,
purely
those are
architecture,
separate,
right?
yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
our purview. right?
Correct.
So have those been approved by plan?
Yes,
Yes. And this whole application has.
yes.
So we do have to have, they haven't sent out any notices from planning. So it has to be 10 days notice that the Arts
Before-
Commission is going to approve or vote on this mural. So the earliest we could have it is like the 24th or something, and we could do it, I'll tell you what, let's talk about the other mural, and then maybe we can find a date that works.
I just have one question. So there's no a final drawing, right? I mean, don't we need like an actual drawing of the proposed mural to approve it, or no?
Is that it on the left?
I mean, that's just a duplicate of that, right?
Is it,
Yeah, yeah, so that was a representation of what would be there, so I'm assuming, yeah, we need to get a final comp from the artist as to exactly what they're doing, so I can.
you get
I
it
can
in
provide
like
that.
about 2 weeks?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then at the meeting where we would have to start fresh and vote, but at least we've seen it now, so that makes it easier.
So you said there was something about the artist on the other side?
No, it's this one, so just that, his name is David Johnson out of New York, and I just had the example of one of his other pieces of street art that he's done.
Cool. Any other questions? Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And I love that it's called the Art Hotel. I mean, it's just, how could we not love it, right? Yeah.
So, Jay, should I forward the information to you?
Sure, that's
Okay,
good.
Right.
great.
Right, and
Okay.
it's planning that needs to send out the notices. So as soon as we figure out what the date is that we'll have a public hearing. we'll get them
Before
out.
we go, just
Sure.
one. That's in New York, the other piece. We've had other issues where people have done pieces here, and we always have to remind them that the climate, of course, is extremely harsh. And they always say, yes, we understand that, and then the piece falls apart in like 2 weeks. So I guess we would just encourage the artist to make sure that you understand the conditions here and whatever sealants or whatever, you
Right.
know.
Understood,
And-
yeah, that's a great.
But we've had
great
other, like the
feedback.
ones on the Camelot, they just,
Yes,
We're
they
shocked.
were
This is,
glued
this
on.
is,
Yeah.
this is
You know.
going to be facing, well, it's a sunrise, yeah.
but
That's not
still,
bad.
it's pretty,
And you have a
yeah.
little shelter with that
Right.
tree there.
yeah, but I mean, it's
Also,
pretty intense.
Tyson Knight, in the course of painting the benches, has come up, he has some sealants and stuff that seem to be working on the benches, and it might be the same sort of thing, just to, hopefully, and also, we've had some comments from the public about they've seen murals that are peeling a little bit, and all of the planning documents have a covenant that it will be maintained, but we haven't really got a method for checking on all of this. So that's, it's best to paint it well at the start.
I mean, the application does say that she will be maintaining it
Right,
personally,
right. They do
as
have
long
to-
as she owns the property.
Yeah, which is fine, but it would help if it had some kind of protection.
Yeah, but especially because they're from out of town. Yeah, it's a-
Right. Exactly.
But in any case, it looks great, so
Yes,
thank you
it's
so much
great.
for
Sure,
sharing it with us.
absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay.
Report
What
from
I'd
the
like to
chair.
do, yes, the report is a series of reports, just all of the projects that are ongoing. The benches, do you want to just say 2 words about where we are? How many benches has Tyson done?
Benches, Tyson is in the middle of doing the 7 benches on Palm Canyon between Talkwitz and Museum Way. He has, I think, 3 of them pretty much completed. He's going to be away for a week for another assignment, but they'll be wrapped up by the end of September.
Great, all right. And we don't know anything more about the bus shelters, do we? You got an email while we were talking.
Oh, well, I'm
But she
happy
just
to
said that
share
was-
with you.
okay, good.
So I just did my own report on just the conditions generally of it, and I've summarized it in this document with some photographs.
Is this the one from Desert Edge?
So this is the Mary Kelly Desert X project, and I take both sheets, please.
And we,
Take
Oh,
both.
I see.
both.
we
Just take
approved
past that whole-
up to $10,000 to keep them in good repair and to replace the,
So, and then
so, but we
and
don't
so
have a
my-
contract yet.
No. This is just a report and some recommendations and but just that all the bus stop locations are dirty and need cleaning. Probably all of the bus stop, all of the locations of this artwork, there are 3 of them, I've noted it on here, are dirty and need cleaning. The yellow color is no longer vivid in the sort of original sort of yellow color it should be, and it could be repainted if our budget allows. The exterior photographs should be replaced, and in almost all instances, there's some color fading and some sort of like water moisture damage at the bottom. And there's one smaller image that should be reprinted in one of them. So if this is a project that we want to help support, keeping up for a little bit longer, I would recommend we renew the loan with the artist for 1 year, perhaps expiring next November or December 2020, whenever it is that we actually
Right.
get the contract, in collaboration with Sunline, and that we at minimum reprint the exterior images upon execution of the loan agreement. And see if Sunline would consider, or if we can repaint them, but at minimum, cleaning will do a lot. Just the plexi surfaces are very filthy. The colors just kind of mottled because they're dirty. So that's what I recommend.
So where we left it was that Sunline owns the shelters. They need to make a contract with the artist and her gallery. We said that we would try to restore them a little bit if the photographs, the Duratrans faded, and Mara's sort of surveyed the state that they're in, but we can't do anything until Sunline, says that they are keeping them the way they are.
And my general feeling is that the overall impact of the artwork is still pretty good, in part because the image is, it's like a silhouetted figure and like a sunlight. So the overall effect is good, and I think at minimum to just sort of adhere to our budget, if they're just cleaned and those prints are reprinted, will look and feel pretty good. Of course, we'd need to confirm that those minimal sort of updates would be okay with the artist. It's possible that they would want more, but I think the general feeling is that it does seem okay. The only other thing I noted is that there are a lot of construction signs around that intersection right now, which I don't think was there when this whole thing was originally installed. So it's a little distracting.
Is that
but
part of making Indian Canyon two-way?
yeah, just like everything that's happening down there, it's just very busy, and so you can see some. It's like there's a lot of cones everywhere, and so maybe it could be part of it's just something to be aware of,
Right.
that there are these artworks that are adjacent to construction holes.
And originally, there was some interest on the part of the museum of moving one to a permanent location near the museum. But again, Sunline is, it's more amorphous than the city. I mean, it's just hard to know who's.
Well, it's also that Mary Kelly sees the three as like a single work, and I think there's some hesitation about breaking them up and what that means. And so I think, you know, they're really interesting in terms of how they're great if you want to get deep into the content of it, but I think they're also just simply, they're cheery. I feel like I would love to see all of our bus shelters a little more vividly colored, but as you can see, they just, the colors fade and they get dirty, and you can really see that, and, you know, they do require more maintenance out here in the desert, so, but, yeah. I'm happy to email these documents to
No,
anyone.
This is great. I think if a contract is signed with Sunline sometime before the next meeting, we could send it out, but we just have to wait for them because they own them. The idea originally was for them to have them on loan until the next Desert X, and then either Desert X could commission something else, or then they'd be restored to what they were.
Well, here's what I'd recommend. I'd recommend that, you know, we'll, to connect with the gallery and just sort of, you know, say, this is what we've observed, and then just do a reconnection with Sunline now that it's after Labor Day.
Right.
And we're all back,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can
I-
move forward with that.
We will do that and pursue it. Well,
Didn't
we-
we vote on an amount that
we said up to $10,000 for,
we had voted
Great.
to reprint?
right, and
Great.
Mara found that they're in better shape than one would have thought.
Yeah, I mean,
after-
But that's good, because in theory, that means we don't have to vote again.
Right.
We
No.
can just do the contract and have it done.
It'd be great though if it goes for it, if we can have some signage for them. You know, now that Desert X is over, there isn't any online explanation or anything.
That's true.
So-
We
Like if
we
we could
should
have
do that. We have a
signage
lot
for
of
each
things
one.
that need signage, which actually is another part of my report, and that is that the maintenance contract is on the city council agenda for next Wednesday, the 18th, and has been approved by everybody. And the staff report was written by Jay, and I think what we're going to hear is some council members saying it's about time. You know, I think it's everyone's ready for us to get those cleaned up. How about Gerald Clark, since you?
Oh, so I apologize, I couldn't be there last week, but I heard you saw the sign.
Yes, it
And
was
so that's
wonderful.
the largest size sign that he can offer, and they're, you know, smaller sizes. So I think the next steps are to get our subcommittee together, and he's sent me, he sent us those like 10 different options. I separately have a list of a bunch of locations. We were definitely talking about public parks, just because it seemed like that would be easier to find like locations that would be okay with the city, and so I think the next steps are really Gerald's sort of ready to move forward. So I think we just need to work with him and identify the sites that are priority sites, and I would say we should propose more sites than and signs.
then he could-
So that if some are denied due to whatever location, that we have opportunity to just do other ones. We don't have to scramble, and so that's what I would recommend.
So if we have a committee of two, we don't have to call it a subcommittee and
Oh, great.
post it. So
could just
if there's
work
someone
together.
who would like to
Yeah.
work, okay.
Okay, great, Tracy.
Yeah, and
That's
just
perfect.
bring it to a meeting or not, but we'll start taking it through the process.
And we would also, we'll obviously share with you all of those locations, but if you have ones in mind in your communities or communities you're feeling are, Gerald is really excited about being able to bring this to just beyond the downtown Palm Springs area, which has been getting a lot of attention. So
Right.
he's very interested in that, and yeah, so,
Yeah,
so
I think
totally.
we talked about that.
Do you have a list of what the signs are and what they say?
I do, but I'm sorry that I wasn't here to, yes, I do, and I will send it over to Jay to distribute to everybody.
Yeah, 'cause that way if we
Because
see one. then
when I
have it.
printed them,
Did
they
they
were
not
only
print
like
properly?
4. Yeah, it's hard to get them on one page.
Sorry, I didn't
okay.
have time to put
Yeah.
it together in a nice
No, you-
memo. So I'll put it together in a nice memo for everyone.
Yeah, because that way we can give you any input for
Great.
location if we
That
have.
would,
you.
that would
I
be
just
great.
said, also, I think this would be a good opportunity, back to your point, Al, about, like working with the communities. Like, so,
Yeah.
maybe we could visit like the neighborhood associations and
Mm-hmm.
just say, this is, like really get their buy-in.
And I know Jarvis, I spoke to
Jarvis,
Jarvis,
right,
and he's
right.
eager to meet the artists, and I think Gerald is as well, eager to meet people when it kind of makes sense, but hopefully because he's so busy, hopefully we can also act as representatives of the
Right.
project
I'm
in our
I'm happy to
communities
do
as
that.
well.
And having one sign is great. So if you can sort of organize people to go to various neighborhood meetings, or there is a 1PS group. And it might be possible just to take the sign that we have and see
Go to
which
one.
neighborhoods are interested right off the bat. And there's 47 of them, so.
But it's a great opportunity
It
for us
is.
to do what we've been saying, really get the public involved.
And it's
in them.
fun to have all these choices.
Yeah,
And you
So-
mentioned a dedication too at some point in time.
Oh, well, yeah, I think that
Within-
would be
with the
really
artists.
wonderful.
And one of the questions to sort of ask is does it have more impact if there are 2 or 3 in a park, or just one? If it's sort of leads you on to seeing.
These are great questions, and I know Gerald has visited several of the sites, but not all of them. So the next steps are for us to kind of go together and
Right.
do that. set aside.
Is there a list of the sites that he thought of so far?
Yes, I mean, I've
Okay.
kind of sent him a few, and again, a lot of it has to do with just really thinking about the parks and the James O. Jesse Center, and maybe like the Welcome Center, like areas that we know there's public
Right.
that the city owns,
Okay.
and maybe there are existing signposts
and-
that just say "Park here" or something,
Right.
so you don't have to even. So
Well-
he wanted to show us the largest possible sign he could make, and they're very easily there are 2 holes in the back. I don't know if you're able to see that, but the engineering should be relatively
Right.
simple.
And the city has now installed a couple of signs for us, the Imagine Art here and Finding Our Way, which I hope you've seen. It's getting some fun interest. But the city put the hole in the ground with the
Great.
thing, and the artist came and dropped it in, so.
Can the Imagine Art here sign be replaced with the art? Or is
Well,
the
yes,
Imagine Art
I think we
sign
should move
yeah.
it.
art? Well, you don't need, or move it. Oh, that's a good idea.
When we,
Or just remove the sign.
As a new home.
And put a new sign.
yeah,
Okay.
we could,
We want
since we
want
have
to
the,
imagine art there instead of.
yeah.
Move the art is here.
Mhm.
I mean, that was always the idea, right?
Right.
Kind of like move it around.
move it
like,
around.
Now it's here. Now it's
Okay,
here.
so that's a perfect lead into
Okay.
the, which I didn't explain very well the other day, but you all met Louis Grachos, the new director of the museum, who has come up with a suggestion for a very sort of attention-getting sculpture to be on that gravel piece for some amount of time, which, again, we haven't.
So the work is by Gonzalo Labrija, who's a Mexican artist who's based in Guadalajara. The artwork is called History of Suspended Time, A Moment for the Impossible. A description of the concept is behind, but basically the idea is dropping a car head first, and this is the moment of contact. This car has no engine; it's totally empty, and it's mounted on a. Just like there's that water, it looks like oil spill. It's actually water, very sort of not very deep. And I've noted the installation needs before. Unfortunately, there are no the no specifications yet for us to, we're still getting the specifications so the museum can get good estimates on the cost. So basically, this would be a partnership between the museum, the city of Palm Springs, and MCA Denver, who I understand we would be borrowing, or the city would be borrowing the work from. And, yeah, so I have some photos here. Oh, they're not in color, of the process of it being installed, but it is relatively simple. It's just, it's
Piece of
it's a
metal.
car.
It looks
So you're not used to seeing it in that way, but it's
Right.
kind of no different than installing any sort of monolithic sculpture on a concrete.
I didn't
little-
realize, but there is a film of dropping a car into the lake that he based this on, so that would be fun to have it playing somewhere.
Have that available,
Yeah.
yeah. So, as soon as there are cost estimates, I think, it'd be great to vote on it, but, I
Yeah.
think we can have something to put on the agenda to discuss further for October.
Okay, and
So
the,
what exactly, how are we envisioning the partnership? Like, so
Well, just the words.
I
mean,
think
just
we would
working
pay
on the
to
museum,
install
right,
it.
So
Just
the museum
some-
is gonna install it.
I
Yeah,
think we would
museum-
pay to install it.
We could pay to install it. If the city could pay to install it, the museum will work on just the logistics of it and the
Getting it
engineering with the
here.
city and getting it here and sort of setting all that up and
And the loan.
the loan.
right.
and
I think,
Probably under the museum's watch. It would
Not
probably
the
be
city,
through the
right.
museum, so.
Right.
Working out all of those details. But what's great about this piece is that it has a poppy playfulness that I think this city is really responds well to, but there's also this richer connection to sort of histories of industrialization and car culture.
It's a big
And
car
the fact
city.
he's a Mexican artist, I think, is really wonderful, showcases just sort of the diversity of this region. And besides installation, there's no fee to borrow it, so it wouldn't be, and we're not stuck with it forever, so.
but I think it's a great thing to put something like that on that site to just sort of introduce the idea that it's.
Having something
you know,
there.
It's for art, and then if they ever start the park, we talked to them months ago about incorporating some art into the park. We'll see.
And I think the idea is that this is not going to be a forever loan. I think the idea is to really try to activate that space and introduce new work in there regularly, just as we've been doing. So no one's interested in seeing this up for 3 years.
No.
So just really having it be just part one of
Yeah.
a larger
Yeah,
story.
1 year
that's
temporary art installations are just so exciting and engaging for communities that I'm all for it. And this is stunning.
Yeah, it's
So
really
if we don't
fantastic.
start using this space,
Right.
then people are,
Right.
we need to act.
Right.
Yeah.
And Louis mentioned something about a grant from the
That's-
American.
They're applying for a grant
Right.
to do a bit broader planning effort for the whole, they're calling it an art zone. So
So this is separate from that.
this is separate.
separate, yeah.
But the city wrote a letter of support because you have to be working with your city. It's a program called Our Town from the National Endowment for the Arts. So I don't know when they'll hear, probably not quickly, so we'll see. And the other things that got done this summer, the banners, and keeping after Michael Braun and Octavio to fix the bottom support because they have blown in the wind.
Yeah.
It's not attached the way it should be, but hopefully they'll fix that. And then I think that the graffiti park is almost leveled out and we can take down the tarps and see it. And then I think that's all the things that went on this summer.
Yeah, the graffiti art park stalled a little bit because it was summertime, so not a lot of outdoor work was being done.
Yeah.
But now they've pretty much leveled the dirt, which will get sort of packed down, and the gravel on top of it. And then the artist Aaron and
The other guy.
It just went out of my head.
Yeah.
They will readdress how much of the graffiti murals are visible and sort of tweak it a little bit.
Because one of them looks like plaster fell off or something, or is that?
Well, yeah, these structures are just slurry, so they're
Right.
faux concrete things. So, yeah, that's something we'll address with Michael Braun and Octavia. The ones that have fallen apart, they'll have to
Okay.
patch them. But I don't think any of the painted ones did. I think it was just ones that were not painted.
I can't
The
remember.
little round ones with the little.
No, I think there was one that was like a
Alright.
big flat one with a painting. It looks like some chunks have fallen off. Like,
Oh, I'll drive by and have a look at it, but we'll certainly
It's
address
possible,
that.
but at least if we can get it in enough shape to take the tarps down,
Yeah.
people will be able to see it.
Yeah, as soon as the gravel is light,
Just
so it
it.
won't be a dust factor.
Okay.
So will it be open?
I think that's the intention of it. Again, grid development needs to do the safety issue of covering the openings that go to the underground parking. So that will probably take a while.
But they might let us have an event again, when it's open.
Yeah, certainly as we come into season, we could do something that coordinates with the film festival or modernism and just have it for 1 or 2 weekends or something.
Also, October is National Arts and Humanities Month. So I think that, we can't load it up with too many things because it's in 2 weeks, but we can announce some things that are going to happen. We'll get a proclamation and that sort of thing. But I had an idea which I would like to run by you, and that is on October 17th, which is a Thursday, if we sort of declared it Public Art Night at the museum, and just give it, we have hundreds of these postcards of public art. We could make buttons or something that say art is here, and then as many of us as can be there sort of stand by the entrance and greet people, and we're going to try to get a better sign that says that Thursday nights are compliments of the city.
What day are you thinking?
It's a Thursday night, the 17th.
October 17th.
So it's just a night that the museums.
I would personally love that because one of the artists with whom I worked on my exhibition is doing a performance that night. So I think there's a really nice synergy. It's going to be a
Wonderful.
really good performance too.
Okay, and
So-
it's in the.
So
in the
maybe I
is
can't
it
vote
in
on
the
it.
theater
No,
or
no,
in
it's
the,
in gallery.
In the
It's
gallery.
Oh,
like an in
wonderful.
the gallery activation.
Well, then I
in
think
her
that we
space in the back.
should really, publicize this. We'll get all the pieces, and just celebrate Arts and Humanities Month by come to the museum. There's all this stuff. There's these exhibits you might not have seen, and it's all it's all
also
free.
the very start of Modernism Weekend, so we
That's
should
right.
expect a little more activity in town. People interested in the
That would
arts
be
and
great.
culture. It's a really good weekend to.
Oh,
do
perfect.
something
There's
like that.
often a line at 4 o'clock. I mean, people do wait for it to be free.
So-
And they're averaging 1,000 people a week.
So one of your ideas is to actually just give out the postcards to people who come in. I kind of love that. It's almost like mail art or something, where
It's like what?
it's like we're mail art,
Oh,
art that we
right,
send through the
right.
mail to
Right.
people, So I love the idea of so we're just saying, here's public art. It's
Right.
almost like,
Or, or
you're like giving them a little
would
piece
you
of
like
public
one?
art.
It's, but Destination PSP has kept a bunch to sell, but they gave us, like 500 or something. There's 50 of each postcard, and we don't have another, reason to mail them. So I thought it might be fun, and if you can think of anything else that just we could sort of give out.
I mean, can
Maybe
we,
a
can
little
we keep them
map.
on the street fair? Does the city maintain a little booth? Can we just leave that card there as well, or?
It depends if let's see how many we give away that night, but maybe.
The Rhapsody is, has it given that money to people that will tours?
And the cookies.
Yeah, we
I don't know
have
how much
that.
that costs.
Everybody
Yeah,
loves
the
those
those are
cookies.
great. But maybe a little map of just enough art, around around the block, a big block,
Yeah.
you know, just,
I like giving out something we already have made.
right.
How about just the
Right.
postcard?
So I think the postcards are good.
I think
And
it's
we
really
could
fun.
make little buttons. I mean, that wouldn't be very hard. There's artists here.
Cookies.
So think about it, and if you have any ideas, we meet the week before, but we just need to put it on your calendar, because the fun
Yeah.
part would be to be there and talk to people.
Sorry to pop back to the Mary Kelly conversation, but I actually just did receive an update from the gallery, and the estimated expense to reprint is actually very low.
Oh,
So
good.
it's a good thing. I can share that with you.
Good, so that means
Separately.
we could
It's
afford to paint them.
$2,000 for 6 prints. That's for all of the large prints together. It's
Very
very
good.
low. So yeah, maybe it's even possible to repaint 2, which
Yeah.
I think would be really terrific. And then, yeah.
And
well
then we
under
have to
budget.
find out if she wants to repaint them, or if someone else can. Okay, so, yes.
What kind of car is this? Just,
We are trying to figure that out. We don't know
I'll
the
ask-
exact model.
I'll ask
Nine-
Bill.
1960s.
Bill know, yeah.
Yes, he
Something
will.
like that.
Chevy
Some-
Chevelle,
Is that what it is?
pretty sure it is.
So-
We have another car guy here.
oh, my stepfather.
That one has the
I know
little
my cars.
triangular window.
50s and 60s.
It's
Well, I
the
wonder if it
perfect sculpture
ties
for
in
here,
with the
'cause there
car
is so much.
Designer, the stuff
Oh,
that
it's
happened
a-
here in
it's a
Palm.
muscle car.
Yeah.
Okay.
350 V8.
So any other sort of updates on things that have been going, or that people have been, it was really a lot got done over the summer, considering that it was summer and that Tyson Knight was out there in the sun. You know, just, we did have, we had 3 instances of damage to the benches, and what we'd like to do is, once this set is finished, wait a month or 2 and see how they wear. The first bench he painted, the city power washed it. The
But prior
second-
to it being actually finished.
or dry, you know, it was, the second thing that happened was skateboarders, I didn't realize this, but they pop their wheels up and then they skid right across the front of the bench and it takes all the paint off. And the third thing was someone actually poured some brown paint on it. So I think all of these things were easy to fix because there was this coating on it, anti-graffiti coating. But I think, you know, one of the things that the people in the city who were a little bit dubious about whether these benches would stay clean and nice, we have to give it a little time to see.
I mean, I think there are also some other alternatives, like maybe you just treat the sides. You know, maybe there are other solutions where we can still work with artists, but we'll just keep
Yeah.
checking. We'll just
Well,
keep
yeah,
checking
that's
it.
the
you
that-
know?
the reason
we're
they
doing a
Yeah.
test project.
Yeah.
Right, the reason they power washed it is that that's what they do with the ugly brown benches. They keep them as clean as they can. But overwhelming good comments from people about what we're doing. The only negative comments were from artists who said, "How come I can't do these?" And just people saying, "Can the next set be like more mid-century?" Or you know, there's lots of suggestions. So I think that what we should do is ramp up the call for entries website, and we can ask people to submit designs for benches. We can, you know, just designs for anything that they want to do, and then we'll have some choices to choose from.
I'd also recommend we consider exploring other kinds of media besides paint, like tiling, tile work. I've seen some very beautiful murals that are more durable. They're not going to have those same problems. And of course, it connects to sort of different kinds of artistic traditions in our community, which would be nice to explore.
Yep.
And
So-
the
I
other thing
agree.
I would like to do is, having now had experience with, you know, half a dozen murals and things, that we go back to the city council with a few changes and a few clarifications. For example, if we do a mural and we approve it, does it just go to the city council? So we need to, and I also think that the murals that we've done downtown, the idea of mailing to people within 500 feet doesn't make a lot of sense. I think there ought to be some way to publicize that this mural is being done on social media or whatever, so that more people hear about it. Because if 500 feet, you'd probably just hit a bunch of businesses who wouldn't necessarily care. So, okay. So,
On the benches, I want to add, facilities let me know that to install the skateboard guards, they had to do a little chipping away at the bench, so there will be some additional fixing, repair, repainting needed to,
okay,
but if we're letting it sit for 30 days or so, that might be the time to do it also.
okay. Yeah, there's these skateboard guards that if you put them strategically, they can't get the wheels past them. I
Yeah.
mean, who knew? This was-
Yeah, and Tyson is in touch with Jay and with Stacy to do any maintenance or whatever fixes necessary.
And the maintenance department has been very helpful. And Public Works, they've been installing things, and so I think once we got past the power washing, everyone was sort of happy we have better communication of what we're doing. Okay, so under the action items, we have tabled A,
Number 1A, right here.
number C,
1A.
1A. And so we are on B, the mural by Gabby Vasquez entitled Visiting Mirage.
So it's
Russell, you wanna-
Vasquez, not Vacas.
Well, yeah, the one thing,
Yes.
we need to
This
correct the spelling.
is-
It's VASQUEZ. Yeah, so the mural, Visiting Mirage, is actually going to be, we have approval from the Arenas District Merchants to do it on the south-facing wall of Johannes Restaurant. So it's going to be approximately 10 by 30. We haven't measured it specifically, but that's the ballpark measurement that we've been working with Gabby for her budget. And the color field is going to be switched to bolder, primarily rainbow color rather than the muted pastel. So as far as this one goes, it's sort of a similar situation as the Ryan Campbell mural that we did in the pit. We're getting the letter of approval from the building owner, which is Johannes Restaurant, and we have the approval from the district merchants. So
And
did we do a mailing for Ryan Campbell mural? Or did we
No,
just-
but it was really temporary on a construction site. So they said we didn't have to, but I think that we should put it, if we have this meeting to look at murals, we should publicize this one as well, send out notices, and tell the city council. We sort of skated by on Ryan's because it was in a pit, it was
Right.
like not something that people it wasn't right in a business district.
Right.
So,
But in part of this, in the Arenas district, and specifically Councilman Roberts has been a part of the discussion with the merchants there on doing art activation. They've talked always about doing a few murals, installations,
Right.
that sort of thing. So it's
Right.
not going to be a surprise to
no,
anyone.
no. But it's just, it goes on their consent agenda just to say that this is happening.
Right.
But it is a good way to keep building support for this because we do give them the final say. But the reason we do the public comment or a public hearing is because it used to be that people would wait till the city council meeting and then they'd start arguing about the color So we're going to absorb any comments in this commission, and then the city council is really just there to to give the final consent. And that is something that might be worth addressing in the ordinance.
So when we have a mural coming from like a private owner of a building that they want to create, they fill out the application and
Right.
it goes to planning, and we don't see it
And-
until after they've done all that. So then are we generating an application? Like,
I have a
ourselves,
question
right. No.
into the head of planning. You know, it may be that,
Feels redundant.
yeah,
But
it
yeah.
does.
but
So-
it also feels like it should be in writing somewhere that Johannes is like
They will write
committed
it.
to it.
Yeah, Johannes will give us a letter, as did Michael Braun for the art pit, so for the Ryan Campbell mural.
It's an easement, actually,
Yeah, an easement. Yeah.
to put something on their building.
But another question is then, is the city responsible for maintaining
Well,
it?
this is, I think this is like the first one where we
Right.
can answer all of these questions. And right now in the mural ordinance, it says that they have to stay up for a minimum of 2 years. And we did see at the cultural center that that didn't happen.
They
Julie-
said, though, it wouldn't be up for 2 years.
Right, they
That
knew
was
that
like
it would.
Like 6 months, a year max.
Right,
Yeah.
and, but the thing is, we should think about whether we want more temporary murals, because some of the ones that stay up too long, like the one with the sunglasses as you come into town, it's, you know, chipping or peeling, and I think the building may even have changed hands. I mean, holding someone responsible for 10 years for a mural may be too much. So, but this one, I think if we commission it, then we have to be responsible.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, and we put in, Gabby has in her budget $400 for annual maintenance. So, yeah. So if we approve, or if we vote to approve the mural to be up for a period of 2 years, then she would spend.
And somebody
money.
could do something
Yeah,
else.
because
right?
all of the artists have been working, we've started to add that into the factoring.
The other thing is that we talked about this in the study session, that we should have a consistent artist fee for similar kinds of projects. And so the artist fee in this one is $5,000. And that was the sort of the top of the range that we talked about. The smaller temporary ones, it could be 1,000 or 2,000. I
Can I
mean, the
make
guy
a-
with the clothesline.
I know there are a lot of resources out there to assess artist fees, including a website called, or an organization called WAGE, W-A-G-E, that's largely geared towards nonprofit institutions and makes recommendations based on your overall budget. Because we're a city, it might be a little more complicated, but I would encourage us to start there and because you know, fees seem reasonable, but I think it makes sense to also make sure that we're kind of doing what's
Right.
not only in, we should be doing better than with average, but I think it's useful to see some comparisons. And so wage is a good.
Right,
So
and I
just
think
find
again,
that
this,
Google search
this
wage.
one, this mural came out of the 30 by 30 exhibit. It's the first one that we're doing. You know, we may have to like feel our way through, but by the time we do the next one, we'll know how to do it. What-
Well, that's,
Well-
are we applying to ourselves? That's the question? Right. Huh?
The costs are still incurred for.
But they can charge it,
Process.
they can just put it in our budget, I mean, charge it to us. which
Right,
they
but we'd have to
finally
approve
did.
that transfer,
Okay.
so.
Right, but that's what I was at, there has to be an application, right?
Right.
And
for
we
them to
don't know
approve
if
it. So
this
who's
needs
filling
the
that out?
full,
Us?
Artists, can artists do it?
I don't think,
No, I'm not sure.
we have to figure that
I mean,
out.
normally
And
it would be
I did
Johannes,
write
right?
an email to Flynn Fag and pose these questions. But again, just like the benches, this is one where we've gotten permission, and maybe we can make the case that it doesn't need to go through the entire process. And we'll see if they make us go through the process, we'll appeal. Okay, so may I have a motion? Oh, the other thing is that these 4 action items are only that we are approving spending the funds to do this project, because there will be tweaks in the contract. But we have a successful contract from Ryan painting a mural, and how much liability insurance he had to have and that kind of thing. And lately, we've been able to pay artists 20% before they start for materials, and the rest when they're finished. So at least we've done one of these contracts. But right now, I just need a motion to approve spending $6,500 for this mural. I suppose we could say on Johannes, or
But yeah, I'll
unless
make
it
the motion, but do you want any
changes.
specifics on time period or the location in the motion?
And does it include that additional maintenance?
Well,
line
ma-
item as well?
The maintenance is in the budget.
And dimensions.
And there's a detailed budget that will go into the contract. But the total comes to, was it this size when she?
Yes,
said-
yeah, this is the budget for a 10 by 30.
Okay.
Is there a way to remove from items the not to exceed? Because it puts us in a box, and I don't know if it's
Okay.
really necessary,
Um,
like on all items?
Yeah, I don't.
Well,
know
with
that
this one,
we-
the specific budget that she has is 6,600. So if I wanted to make the motion just for that amount, then that covers the budget that's for this specific
Yeah,
mural
because
and
if we have
proposal.
overages and things and supply, it's happened in other people's budgets.
Right, I don't
so-
think it has to say an amount not to exceed. The main reason for that is that the whole budget isn't in this motion. And that's, but I think we could,
It gets kind of fuzzy without
Yeah.
having a number to show our contracts division, how much was approved by the commission.
Yeah, but if we approve, I'm just saying for all of these, if we approve 6,500 and then, oh, wow, it's like gonna be $1,000 more or something like that, then we come back and we approve $1,000 more. But when we approve in amount not to exceed, that doesn't necessarily mean we can come back, right? And do
no,
a
it means we can come back, but we can't put it in this first contract.
Tranche.
So we need a second contract.
I
If-
like
if-
having a number not to exceed. I mean, I think in the past, if there are problems, if it goes over, that's either our problem or the artist's problem. I mean, I think we
Right.
need to, make it $7,000 or something if you want to put a 10% contingency in, but I wouldn't, I think it's important for us to try to keep to the budget, because what's exciting about this is that this proposal is that we're gonna have 4 interesting projects up for relatively small amount of money. That's very
No,
exciting.
I totally
Yeah.
agree with
But it's
that.
nice to keep it, I think it shows our sort of sense of fiscal responsibility to keep it in that,
The main thing
But I mean,
is
why
that-
can't you just say for 6,500? Like, why do you
Yeah,
have to say
that's-
in an amount not to exceed?
Do you think that's right?
Oh, we can definitely do that.
Okay, so
But
take
then
out the
It would
not to
still have
exceed.
the same effect of being 6,500. I think the question is, what's a safe budget? If there might be cost overruns, if there's contingencies that have to be
mural
built in,
fees.
include that
Right.
in the budget. It's, and you just, it's a budget, which is an estimate, but, we put the number, it triggers, a limit. And that's
You
what we
wanna
have to be aware
put-
of.
But I'm saying, to me, it triggers the limit more with the language of amount not to exceed, because that's sort of setting a ceiling.
Well, that's
Whereas if we
exactly what
just
it's.
say, for the amount of 6,500, that leaves us some leeway to go back and say oh, well, the paint
We'd have
cost
to
more.
vote
Got
it
it.
separately.
Sure, sure.
Well, and in this
Okay.
specific case, being that Gabby has presented me with a budget of 6,600,
Okay.
I would like to make the motion that that's the amount that we would approve. And if there's some extenuating circumstance that goes beyond the scope of her being able to absorb any slight additional cost from her artist fee, then she could come back to us and we could address any
Well,
particular thing.
Why don't we say 7,000 then, so that if there are, for example, if the planning department says we have to pay the fees, it won't come out of this, from the artist's budget.
Well, although that doesn't make sense. They would ask us to pay the fee, but if they do, then we would just make a special motion that we would approve the
Right.
permit fee,
The fee,
as we've done in the
separately
past.
from the
Separately.
piece, right?
I'm just trying to make it so that we did have people absorb some expenses at the end of last year that they shouldn't have had to absorb. So I just want us to be able to go back to the barrel or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Can I ask why did they have to absorb expenses that they didn't? Like, did
This
they
was-
not budget properly?
No, this
No,
was
we
Sarah.
didn't budget enough money.
Right. This was Sarah doing a lot of projects and getting paid by the hour. And our motion said plus expenses, and the contract didn't, just because the contracting department, does things their own way. And so there were some things that she paid for that there was no way to reimburse her. But invoices up to $1,000, right? If they're within a project, you can approve them.
I'm finding out if they're standalone, that's okay, but if they're part of an existing contract, that's when we still run into problems, because as it
But
makes
if
its way
there's-
through.
If they're standalone, so we could just, like, let's say we wanted to do signage. I think we did that, so it was
Right.
an invoice for $500 then you could approve it, right? It doesn't go any
Correct.
further. Okay, so I think that's a way to take care of expenses.
Incidentals.
Yeah, so do you want to make your motion? Do you want to make it that precise, or do you want to say $7,000?
No, I want to make it 6,600.
Okay.
So, again, just back, do you want the location in the motion?
I feel more comfortable voting on a piece with a location, as we talked about
Okay.
last week.
Yeah, because it's pretty much set. It's just a matter of getting the easement letter.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's, that location somehow falls through, then we,
Well,
right,
that's
that's
true.
it. I mean, that's the end,
Well,
I
there's-
wouldn't want to vote again on another one, you know what I mean? As opposed to just being like, oh, we voted on it to go to Johannes, but then now we're gonna put it at the Marriott or something.
Well, if you want the location, I guess there is a backup location. So if you don't want to mention the location, then we can just say in the Arenas Business District.
No, he's saying you want the location.
Yeah, don't you, no, am I? Is
So
it-
I would say you
what's the
want it or don't
backup
want it.
location?
Pardon me?
What's the backup location?
I think my directions, the east-facing wall of Chill Bar.
Which is a
East
parking
facing.
lot,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Well, do you want to say it's the Arenas District Council that's asked for
Right.
this, that's approved
Right.
it. So let's just say that, which could be anything on Arenas.
And for
Hopefully at
time
Johannes.
period not to go beyond 2 years.
You, I
Or
don't
just-
know.
that.
Or not bother with time frame.
Yeah.
I don't, well, because that's in the mural thing, right?
Right, it says
Yeah.
2 years.
And I don't think we should set, I mean, if it's in great shape after 2 years, I mean, we're not gonna like paint it over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's the
I
south
mean, it
wall.
may, you know.
But people can paint it over if they want.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
which is fine,
Right.
right, but I'm just saying, it's like, I feel like if you say only for 2 years, it's like then we're somehow saddled with like actually removing it or
Right.
something, yeah.
It
Or if we
says, or
give
going
the
to jail.
artist like a guarantee of how long their work is gonna be up, like for at least 2 years or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's in the mural ordinance. so-
Right, so I don't think
All
we
right.
need to repeat that, right?
Okay,
Right.
so how about I
Okay.
make a motion to approve a mural by Gabby B. Vasquez entitled Visiting Mirage in the amount of $6,600 to be done in the Arenas Business District.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments or all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Okay. By the way, I believe she went to Palm Springs High School and grew up here. So I think that we should add that into the mix of, get some more background on her.
Yeah.
Because it's sort
And
of
she took
fun to.
ballet at the Palm Springs Art Museum, had their exhibit, their shows there.
Oh, right. And I think maybe took some art classes even there,
That's a
no?
different one, yeah.
No.
No, she was totally choked up that night because she told me that whole story, and she was just totally choking up. Then I introduced her to one of the council members, and they were like,
But
"You're emotional."
Madalena has just posted a video interview with Sarah about the project that you did last year and that led up to the exhibit. And I think it would be great if she interviewed this artist and she could tell the story.
Yeah, it would be great.
Chair Sheffer, can I encourage us to move through these action
Yes.
items as it's 5:24 and we have many more to
You
vote
have to
on?
go to-
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that we have addressed a lot of the issues in that one. So C is a temporary installation, which we are looking for 2 light posts to put it between. However, it's made of king-size bed sheets, so it's going to have to be up high so that it doesn't impede people. But the idea was to try to get it up by Pride weekend. And he knows it's temporary. That's, he said if it were any more permanent, he would have to do it differently, different materials. But this includes installing it. So we just have to get permission either from 2 buildings to put it on the side of a building, or I don't know if light posts are tall enough.
Well, we had talked
What about
the
trees in the
signs
park?
that span Palm Canyon last week.
But they are
Too
This-
low. Yeah, it's too low.
this
Oh,
wide.
I see.
And, this is, think about a king-size bed sheet. So we have to, it could go,
King or Eastern?
it could possibly go like Town and Country Center, the facade.
But then it's not blowing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the
I know.
piece, right?
So-
is-
So, anyway, that requires some more conversation, but it's such a temporary small amount that we shouldn't have wherever it turns out, it's not going to change how it's made. And so, may I have a motion to approve $3,500 for a temporary installation by John Morse entitled Clothesline as Color Spectrum for $3,500.
All right. I will make a motion to do a temporary installation by John Morse entitled Clothesline as Color Spectrum in the amount of $3,500.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor, or second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Okay.
abstain, I think,
You abstain?
yes.
Okay. The next one, item D, is a temporary installation by Jeff Pick. This is not his real name, but entitled The Fault Line. And the idea is trying to get permission for it to go, if you remember, it was this jagged line, and it said, "Not my fault, not your fault," on the 2 ends. And it was meant to be seen from the steps of the museum or possibly from the bar at the Rowan. I'm sort of feeling my way towards permission to do that on the dirt, because in no way is anybody going to walk on it. I mean, it's not going to invite people to come over there. You really have to be up high to see it, because it's just either paint or
Where would it be installed? I'm sorry, I missed.
on the
meeting.
dirt that will be the park, so that you wouldn't see it as you were walking
Oh.
along, really. You would see it if you stood on the steps. And he's talking about some little signage that says, where to take your selfie of it. And again, temporary.
Yeah.
It probably has to wait till after Modernism Week and, stay up just for a couple of weeks, but, have some aerial photographs taken of it and, get the full effect.
Is that part of the budget, the aerial photographs, or?
I don't think so.
I guess that's easy now with drones.
Well,
That's
we
not
had
a
a
big
discussion about this. Someone pointed out that drones, if they're in the path of the airport, the flight path, but even good pictures from the roof of the Rowan,
He's
He's a photographer, isn't he?
Yeah, and there's several art photographers who have worked with the museum or work just locally who actually have drone cameras and can really do a beautiful job, which actually would be really good as as a record for us in terms of really looking at how things are changing in that area. So generally, that could just be
Well,
something.
and Russell had a
we
proposal
talked
from
about it at the
someone
last
to
meeting.
use the drone to go around to various works of art and then sort of come down and look at them close up and identify where they are. So between that and virtual reality, we should put together a proposal that we
Yep.
can do.
In the 21st century.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's sort of like a Smithson, right? I mean, so it's like the piece exists only in photographs afterwards, right?
Right.
I think this is a nice idea.
Mhm.
I don't really recall this, but I know this artist lives in that area and spends a lot of time
Right.
walking around there
And skateboarding.
and thinking about that site. And don't we all want to climb up on that pile of dirt? I mean,
Right.
I haven't, and I
Just see
you
what's
know,
going
and just see
on,
what's going
right.
on in there. So it's
So
Yeah, it was
I
one
would
of my
support
favorite
that.
things from
Yeah.
the 30 by 30 shots.
Yeah, it's just so
cool.
it's so clever.
And we're just like drawing attention to like the looming environmental issue that
Right.
event we have waiting
there's
us
a lot
at
of
some point.
interpretations about
Yeah.
what the fault is.
Yeah.
that-
Is there any chance, I mean, that like the artist could like take people through it or something? I mean, or is it
I
like
don't
it's
know.
totally off limits?
It's
Like-
hard to say because
It's completely
took
open,
the
so if you
fence
wanted to walk on it,
down.
You can.
So it's sort of like guerrilla
I don't know.
style.
People could be playing up there because it's all open.
It is,
Right.
yeah.
All right, a motion for item D?
But we don't have permission yet from the city, right? This is
No.
all pending permission. okay.
Right.
Could we put that caveat in it?
Well, if we can't do it, we can't do it.
Right.
I mean, if they won't let us do it. But I did run it by Dr. Reddy, who said, it's temporary, nobody's going to walk on it. It sounds like something that would be fine.
Yeah.
So that was just off, his initial reaction. But, I hope we can do it because it is sort of guerrilla art.
Plus, he would really help promote it. He's a great self-promoter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a photographer, so, okay. Motion, you want to do it?
Sure. I would like to make a motion to approve a temporary installation by Jev Pick entitled The Fault Line with a budget of $3,500.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay. Item 3, this is the piece to be on loan at the airport, which Russell has been through a number of variations on it, and I tried to correct this proposal so that it does say that it's going in the regional terminal. However, Russell and the artists have to go and see if it's still in one piece or two pieces, depending on what the space is in the
installation.
right. Because it was proposed originally for the foyer as you walk in.
Yeah, and
So-
what you're looking at now, the project proposal, this is most likely the size it will be. This is the one piece, this was Plan B when we were discussing the main part of the terminal. Plan A was the two-piece one. But the Airport Commission, at a presentation there on Wednesday of this week, said that they would approve the project, the installation, but in the regional terminal. So it will have this size, which will be 3 feet deep by 6 feet wide by 9 feet high. I don't expect that that size will change. So that is fitting within this budget, which is actually $10,570. And it's actually for a loan. The time period is 6 months, which is October 2019 through the end of April 2020.
So it's 10,000,
10,570.
okay.
Oh, so this is a typo.
No, it's just, they changed the location and it seems to.
No, but it says 1570. It should be 10570, right?
No, it's the install and deinstall, all of that operating cost is $1,570. Artist fee is $1,500 per month, so times 6 is 9,000.
It was
Oh.
7,
Okay.
Yeah.
but since it's not in there, but the clock isn't running yet. The airport asked us if we could generate some more art. And we also have to, part of the maintenance is getting in there and maintaining the pieces that are there on loan from the museum, a lot of them. So there were some questions in the study session about why isn't the airport paying for this? And I think this is another example of making a splash with a loan of something that's going to be very visible. And then I think after that, we'll ask them, they have some funds, but it's more a question of convincing them that this is something that they should be doing.
Right.
But I think it will make a big splash, and that's another group that we can work with.
Yeah.
But after this, we can just help them find art and
So
negotiate.
will the city be maintaining it and cleaning it?
It's just for 6 months, but I suppose we could. I'm going to ask that
Just
the
because
contract be with
think they
the
should.
airport.
I think they
Right.
should, because I know that they maintain the sculptures that the museum loans to them as well, or they're responsible for doing that and paying
Well,
for
but
that.
they probably haven't in
No,
5 years.
But I'm just looking at this and I don't, it just, there's going to be potentially
Fingerprints.
dust.
Yeah.
I don't know, if someone spills something, it's just gonna be a little bit of a problem, so, are the artists local?
They are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Linda Maxon, who had Maxon Gallery in the Backstreet Art Studio, and Debbie Group, which is Grupe. Linda Maxon is moving her studio to Rancho Mirage, but Debbie Group is staying in the Palm Springs location, but they are both local.
I also wonder if,
Good.
like, part of their artist consideration fee is just, that they would be open to,
Keeping it up.
I mean, if there's like a major sort of situation, like, but that they can keep, just make sure it looks good.
Yeah, they will.
as a
Well, and
part
what
of-
we need
part
to
of
do is
the-
get them
part of the contract.
periodic permission.
Yeah.
You have to go through security, which the airport director is happy to do.
Yeah.
But the contract that we used to have with the museum for the loan of their pieces, we also paid them $1,500 a year to be the ones who went in and saw if they needed any work. And as far as I can tell, there is no signed copy of a contract from 2015. So some of the ones in the airport are on the list for the maintenance, but it's something to think about. And maybe it's time to change out some of the loan pieces.
So we have pieces in the airport that we own that are not part of
No.
the loan program, like doesn't the JFK piece ours? Like-
Yes, but
And that's
there's
inside.
there's like, from the art museum, there's like 8 or 9 of the pieces belong to them. I think the Chihulis do, or I don't know.
I just thought of something, because I mean, isn't part of our mandate, like with the art and stuff, like it can't be in HOA things because it has to be visible to the public 18 hours a day. So I guess the airport's open 18 hours a day, right? So we don't run into that.
It is.
right?
But you have to go through security.
you
But
gotta go through
there's a,
security, right?
like, 10-page contract about art on loan to the airport, which I think probably has some of this in it as to who's responsible and stuff. So, okay, before Mara has to leave.
Those kids.
You ready for a motion?
Russell, why don't you do make the motion
Okay.
for this?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we approve a temporary art installation, Crushing Inertia, by Linda Maxon and Debbie Group, to be installed at the regional terminal of the Palm Springs Airport, October 2019 through April 2020, budget of $10,570.
Is there a second?
Second?
You second?
Okay.
I don't think.
Second?
Yeah.
I
Very
abstain.
soft-spoken.
I abstain on this one also.
All in favor, let's take a vote, and then I want to know, I think you should explain why you're abstaining. But do we have enough votes to pass it other than that?
Do you want to do a voice vote? Can we do a voice vote?
Sure.
Can we, is it out of order to just ask one more question?
No, it's fine. Well, it's on the motion's on the table, so. Yeah.
Why the airport?
Visibility factor.
Okay.
And starting from our discussion and spreading our art exposure, and that's still the visitors coming, going for full-on season, more bang for our buck.
Can I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
So can we, if we do this, can we have signage?
Yeah, signage is going to be a part of the budget. There's going to be stanchions around the exhibit and probably 2 standing signs that will explain all of it, and that's funded by the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission.
Okay, cool.
So there'll be a dedication.
Yeah, we could probably.
Well, it's behind security.
Well, but
Yeah.
those, yeah. If nothing else, we could go and, you know, and again, I think it may have to be, some of it may have to be virtual reality instead of IRL,
Can
right?
you just remind me where in the airport it will be located? To
When
the
you go
right?
through
Yeah, the
security,
regional
you go
terminal,
to the
you-
right,
Yeah,
To the
to the right.
right.
not up the
And will it
escalator.
be in the terminal or be
In-
outside?
in the terminal.
In the
In the
terminal.
And so
Which
where
is
will
a-
it be?
the-
Just right in the middle?
Yeah, probably. The
Like
gates,
to the right of the newsstand?
Yeah, we're going to, the very specific site will be negotiated with Thomas Nolan, who's part of the administration of the airport. And we're meeting with Linda Maxon, her husband Greg, and I are meeting with Thomas on Monday, the 28th.
again, this is, you know, I think the whole idea of 30 by 30 was to generate a bunch of ideas. We picked 7 that we like. It looks like we've got 3 of them underway.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other ones are just, you know, much more, cost more, and we don't have a site necessarily for them.
Yeah, and this one was sort of a random thing that exists that I saw at Maxon Gallery, and it just has such an impact, and it's so impressive that it would just be stunning.
Madam Chair, can I ask one more
Yes.
question?
Only one more. Not that I'm the chair, but go ahead.
I won't go there. Can we extend? You know, why does it have to be 6 months? Can it be a year?
Well, I picked the 6 months just only because it's the prime season
That's true.
In
Yeah.
terms
Not,
of-
not
and
so
being
many
in an
people.
airport, right.
at the airport, because
Yeah.
after the end of April, the airport gets really much
But I
quieter.
think in April, we should assess everything that's
Mhm.
in the airport and see if it makes any sense. I mean, there's a bust of Sonny Bono, and there's a sheep, and there's,
Oh, like a picture.
yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of random stuff. And,
Well, and the one great thing with this, it shows everyone coming and going from the airport and the airport commission that we can do stuff other than just a sheep and a bust of Sonny Bono.
right, and again, things have been there for 10 years, you know, just, no, I don't think
Yes.
anybody notices them anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, so.
And again, temporary art, it's more exciting than
Okay,
static.
so we have a motion to, a temporary installation of crushing inertia at Palm Springs Airport for $10,570 for 6 months from October 2019 till April 2020.
So we're doing a voice vote?
Yes,
So it's less than what's on the.
right,
Oh,
because it's a month less.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
That's what I meant.
Sure.
Yeah.
Commissioner Pritchard,
Yes.
Commissioner Gladstone,
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni,
Abstain.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrigan,
Yes.
and Chair Sheffer.
Yes. I think
is,
I would just be interested in,
My concern is that it's not public enough for our mandate, so.
Yeah. Well, and just to address that, I really pushed the airport for it to be in the public part.
Right.
That's true.
but
They
it's
said
about
no.
to undergo a big renovation. They're going to enlarge the part where you buy your tickets.
Right.
And as a visitor to other cities and other airports, so I've had really memorable experiences in airports that have a rich public arts program.
Yeah.
It's
and-
just,
and-
I think our airport's actually very special. It's a very nice airport to leave out
It's a
of
good
and to
design,
arrive
yeah,
into,
yeah.
and that it's open air. And so I think 6 months is an interesting plan. I really love that it's local artists. And I think we should definitely all visit and sort of really try to think about how it works there and how
Right.
people interact with it.
And how the existing stuff works, because some of it is just, sadly neglected. So we have to do something with it. Okay,
Change is good.
Not
The,
moving on to item C4.
yes, and just to say ahead of time, item 4 and 5, these are two people that we finally hammered out contracts where it was by the hour for Sarah, and the contract had a list of the scope of her assignment. This is just a draft of it. And Madalena has been $1,000 a month to, and she posts all kinds of things. She does the website, and she reports periodically on how many, what's the word, not likes, but how many people look at our pages and stuff, our Instagram account. And when you get home, take a look at the interview with Sarah. It's really very good. So this is a case where no matter what we say, it's still going to go through this contract process. But I'm encouraged because we finally had a contract. And again, $24,000 is at a level that Dr. Reddy can approve it. If it's over $25,000, it has to go to the council. The maintenance contract is $30,000. That's why it's going. So what I'd like us to do is approve these two things, subject to clearly, the contract department.
Can I clarify what projects on this calendar she will be managing? Is it the block party?
No, that was
And
last
the-
year.
Well, I sent my report from
Oh.
last week to everybody.
Okay.
Are you talking about from my report that Jay
Yes.
sent out?
So I just want to be clear what she's actually doing. She's going to organize the March block party and the PS Public Arts Show? Or?
Yes,
Yes.
and also.
what, anything else?
Also, using the call for entries website that we are part of, we're going to try to do a registry of artists and a way for people to submit proposals on this website.
So if we decide to expand the bench project and decide to do that, she would manage that?
Right, because
She could do that.
it's a little tricky, getting people to
Oh, I can't imagine.
use the site, but you can jury it online.
Oh,
It's really quite, and it's a nonprofit. It's the Western Arts Foundation that created this website. And so, you don't have to charge Yeah, a lot of these artists and things, well, a lot of them charge an artist, you know, if you want to apply to be in a show, there's often a fee. But we don't have to do that, which I don't think we should anyway, because we don't get charged by the artist, by the number of people.
And then would she also be organizing the Earth Day activity, or would she play a role in that at all? Or?
You know, the rest of the year is like, these are possible things, but she would work a certain number of hours a month, and she's very good at outreach to artists, and so I don't think we can't lock ourselves into the schedule, but we can count on her to do things that we can't do as commissioners. You know, it's a lot of organizing to do. And it worked well last year, which is why I think that we can ask the city to write a very similar contract. And we'll get some more specifics.
And it'll include
So,
incidentals. Right? The contract would include the incidentals.
no, that got us into, you know, it got complicated because they just didn't get paid. But we've done a couple of cases where something was ordered, like a sign or a plaque, and an invoice went to Jay and he could process it. Because it wasn't part of a big contract where you had to show, you know, how it fit in or whatever. And the last contract the city did, they just took out the words expenses in the contract, and so she really did, there were a couple of things that she didn't get reimbursed for.
So we may not use the total amount, 24,000.
If she
Oh,
worked
my
fewer
God.
hours, you know, last year she
some-
worked more hours,
But
but,
some months will be less, obviously.
Right.
and
Some months will be more.
Right.
right. And certainly when we did the 30 by 30 show, she did, you know, ended with a lot of work.
Right.
So, but again, at 24,000, I think we don't have to go to the city council. Now, if they say it's similar to it's really a new contract though, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not just a made-up number, right? I mean, it's about what we
Right,
spent
it's-
last year.
Right.
Well, it's,
In the range, at least.
We did 2 contracts last year, and then the total of them was like 37,000 by the end of the year, and that had to go to the city council, even though it was 2 separate contracts.
I see.
But I think we start fresh with a new set of things to do, and but it finally got to work that she not only said how many hours, but she said which project she was working on, you know, and so there was like something every day, and that seemed to satisfy the contract people.
yeah, that's how they do it with everybody. So,
So are we?
And that would be helpful for us to see too, so we don't have to have this conversation every year. You know, I mean, it
Right.
would be helpful if she's producing a report. I mean, I would be interested in
Oh, yeah.
knowing how many hours
Yes.
she spent doing
Well,
this
let's-
project versus that project, how many hours she spent doing
Let-
promotional
we
or
can
whatever. She's
Absolutely
I
ask
mean,
her to do that.
I log that kind of time myself
yeah,
in
we
my
can
own
have her
calendars.
send us, I mean, we have the
She
copy
has-
of the report every single month,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah,
have
it
her
just
send
gives
it.
us
Also, we have
more
some
information
on
how
we
to
have some
budget things
separate
going forward.
reports, like on the street fair and on the project with the kids and.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for us to see, because I think this is great that we're able to, you know, work with someone. But it'd be great to see how much she spends on each
Yeah.
project. It's helpful.
And she's had other people working with her,
Yes.
photographer. I mean, does that come
Well,
out of this,
no.
or is that an additional?
We're not gonna
That
try
was
to
for
run
the-
it through her. That
Oh, I
that was where we got into.
Oh, okay.
You know, she was supposed to pay artists. Even Ryan
Right.
got into some. he was supposed to, he paid a couple of artists to come do the base coat or something. And, you know, they had to submit like W-2 forms or something, I mean, just to,
Yeah, workers' comp and.
yeah. The worst one is that they seem to want automobile insurance.
Okay.
People who are on, yes, okay.
I'll make
we
a
need
motion.
to-
Would you
yeah.
like a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to, are we doing one at a time?
Yeah, I think. we
I'll
should.
make a motion to extend the contract for artistic services with Shara Scheidman in an amount not to exceed $24,000 for the period of October 1st, 2019 through the end of our season, June 30th, 2020.
Can we take,
Actually, I
can we
think
amend
it
that
was
to say, to
May
take out
3rd.
not to exceed?
Okay, I'd like to amend my motion.
And also, I
Extend the
think-
contract for, yes?
I think the word extend should go out,
Oh,
because it's
okay,
really, it's a
right.
new contract.
Initiate a
Right.
contract for artistic services with Sarah Scheidman for $24,000 to cover the period October 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
And
could
I'd
we
just
have a
like to,
motion for?
sorry, note for I'd like actually, the reports on the hours to
Mm-hmm.
be in the contract, if it's not already. You know, that there's like a
That the
regular
reports are
update.
shared, right?
Yeah, there
but
is
there's an
every
update.
month. Yeah,
Okay,
there
yeah.
is every month, yeah.
But not before the contract is written, just that,
No, just
before
like
she
as
gets
part
paid.
of the contract, you know, to get a
Right.
monthly update, which I'm sure she's done, but just to have it in the contract. Thank you.
Exactly.
I'd like to make another motion.
Yes?
To initiate a contract for social media services with Madalena Garza for $8,000 to cover the period October 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
I'll
Question.
second.
Question. A social media person asked online for, well, she did a survey. You know, what would the community like to see? Has that information ever come in?
No, but we should,
If we can get that. you know.
we need a little bit more of a report from her. She's reported numbers of people, but I find
But she did a
sometimes
survey.
I just print out all the Instagram pictures, you know, and it's,
She did a survey,
okay,
and to get the results of that survey would
we
be.
should do that, and we'll put her on the agenda to tell us. So, did you
Okay.
make the whole motion?
I did.
Okay, is there
And
a
Morris-
second?
Morris seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, before we adjourn,
Wait.
when we wrote this agenda, it looked like we would have 2 murals that needed to have a public hearing, or 3 murals. And in order to sort of move them along, I proposed having a special meeting. But I think it really sounds like we can put them on the agenda on October 12th. And then they're ready to go. You know, we can't, for example, this one, we can't approve it because they weren't on the agenda. So we may be able to do Gabby's mural. We'll find out if it, you know, how many other permissions it has to get. But unless someone feels strongly about sort of fast forwarding this, I
You're
think
talking
we
about the
just,
proposal on Indian Canyon that we just looked at?
that's when we would have to do it. It would have to be on a
Right.
meeting to approve it. And actually we'll write a resolution and stuff. And the one that we're doing, it's a little bit vague as to how many more steps there are. But I think that trying to have a quick special meeting is probably, we might not even know the answer to that. So.
So we want to
so
not
just
schedule, so we want to adjourn to our regular meeting?
Right, which is
Okay.
October 12th.
So
Oh,
do we have
okay.
D, any discussion reports for item D on the agenda?
Can,
It is October 12th?
Oh, so-
It
Oh,
is
then
the
it's
10th.
October 10th. Yes, okay. Sorry. This is, right. And it's just, it'll be a regular meeting.
maybe save the special meeting for some time when we really need it.
for something special.
But having the study session was good because we went through a lot of these things and can come back to the other projects on the list. If anybody wants to take one of the ideas, run it by a neighborhood group or something, just to see. But I don't know that we're prepared to spend $100,000 on a piece of art. I think that we're having more impact with, sort of temporary.
And I think if we
New
did,
thing.
it would have to go through a whole RFP process and, a much bigger process than.
Yeah, from our 30 by 30 show, I will bring a proposal to move forward with the Richard Becker piece. Probably not Buoyant, which is the one that he showed in the piece, which is the stainless steel baby in the inner tube.
Right.
But most likely the one called the Tot, which is an approximately a 3 to 4 year old kid wearing a powder coated bathing suit and goggles, but also stainless steel.
The thing is, some of the artists have said that we promised that they could do a mural downtown. And I know I was very careful to say that we would consider all of these. We gave them our Commissioner's Choice Award, and we would explore how many of them we could do. But so if you hear these, complaints that we promised something, we really didn't. And Gabby and Ann keep saying that they got this award from the mayor. And he was very nice to come. But, all right, if there's no other business.
I'll make a comment, which
Okay.
is just that I like all these projects, but I also would like to make sure we're really representing our community here in Palm Springs, and that it would be nice to maybe work with artists who aren't, as you've been doing, continue working with artists who aren't necessarily applying for things, but are
Right.
maybe doing interesting work that's a little
Right.
under
I think we
radar.
just need
So
to
I
have
think-
both because.
and maybe also, yeah, we need to have both, but also, maybe artworks that have some are engaged with sort of social issues and some other kinds of content that and can share different kinds of messages to the community. So I
Well,
just
and I think some kind of a community dialogue, whether
Yes.
we go to the neighborhood meeting, whether we go to the Parks Commission, some conversation back and forth about what each neighborhood or community would like to see.
I did, sorry.
Is there any way at our next meeting we can have, or take another look at our mission statement, if we can have that just?
Oh, sure,
I know Mara did some work on that.
yes.
But
Yeah, we can definitely
if we
get
could
a
take a look
copy
at
of
that
that.
again. And I'm not sure, each year we used to have a list of who's on what committee, and if we can have that.
We did
To-
do that in June, and it was two
Yes.
sort of committees that sort of split the thing.
Yes.
But again, if it's a subcommittee and 3 people are meeting, we have to put out a notice like this.
Right. I
But
understand.
if 2 people
We
are
do.
working on a project, right, you notice that the city council, which 2 people constitutes a subcommittee, they're having a meeting of the business retention subcommittee, and then they're having, just any time they want to have 2 people hold a meeting.
Is that new?
No, it's the Brown Act.
That's the Brown
I
Act.
thought no, I know, but I'm saying from my 5 years on this commission, we've always been under the impression that 3 people, because it
Right.
was fewer than a majority, were able to meet as a subcommittee, and that's why our subcommittees always had 3 people, that you didn't have to announce it. So
Well,
now
I
you're
think
saying
part of
that's
it
not
is-
the case?
Once you
Have to get
establish
these
a
out.
committee, that committee becomes an official body that that is subject to Brown Act. So I believe what's been happening is people have been getting together on an ad hoc basis, fewer than a quorum
Right.
of the commission, so no Brown Act violation.
That's what I'm saying, that the
Right.
subcommittee of 3 is
But
fewer
it's
than a quorum.
it's a standing committee.
Right.
They came and talked to sustainability about that.
Yeah.
Anthony
Oh, did they?
Masia
So
did.
if
So
we
this is
call it
different from what
a,
we've been told for the past 5 years.
But we could do committees that are temporary. And a lot of these items are temporary.
Like they're just working on a project.
Like
And
ad hoc,
those,
right?
Right.
and those aren't
Okay.
subject.
But three, if it's like a standing committee for maintenance and it's three people,
No, I understand
It's
now.
right,
I'm
it's
just saying, it
just-
was never ever presented to us that way in the past. So this is new information, so
Yeah.
now I'm glad to know it.
live and learn,
Yep.
All right.
Can I just
You-
say one
yes,
really
yeah.
quick update? Speaking of committees, so I ran into the chair of the Sustainability Commission at the Farmers Market last weekend, Roy, and we had talked about doing a meeting of the three groups together. And he said he thought they would love to do that. So because of the benches and things they're working on. So then the second one to reach out to is Park, so.
Right.
And we could have a
Like a,
joint meeting.
yeah, we could have like
We
a,
could have a
joint
joint
public
study
meeting.
session,
Public.
but it
With
would be.
cupcakes.
Right.
Or cookies.
and it could be like a
cookies,
public
yeah.
forum, right? That we invite the
I
public
think that's a
to.
great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe have it at the museum and if we can or
Or
something.
in a park, or at the Boys and Girls Club.
We
the
haven't
new mural,
really,
right.
that's something else we should like
Highlight.
really sort of, maybe we should try to do a report with Sarah's report, Madalena's, and then these two or three other things, and we'll send it to the city council. I've done that in the past. I don't know if they read it, but I think it goes into their great big notebooks. But, on social media, we get really rave reviews from a couple of the council members who are paying attention. Christy loves what we're doing, and she's on the downtown committee. So,
Maybe she could be our liaison this year,
well, I was going to
since
ask
the mayor
that,
never
actually.
came to our meetings.
Well, not just that, he won't be on the council after November, and neither will JR, and they were our committee.
Right.
So I was going to ask Christy if she would be at least one of the people on our committee, because one of the things they do is appoint new people when you need them,
And they're supposed to come to one of our meetings.
at least, right?
And we're supposed to be able to reach out to them for help.
Or the chairman can meet with them.
Right, or Dr. Reddy has been willing to come periodically, and he can answer questions like, do we have to do that, and whatever. Bye.
Why?
All right, is it time?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
It's time for your
It's
big.
Mara
Should I
time.
hand this over to? now
No,
that
you're
vice
so good
chair?
at
it. No, you're
Are you
like-
sure? Okay. I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting to our next Public Arts Commission's regular meeting at 4 p.m. on Thursday, October 10th at Palm Springs City Hall in the Development Services Conference. Is that no?
No, that
In
was
the
what they
large-
found us.
in the large conference room at Palm Springs City Hall.
Very good, and we are adjourned.
We have a